Moving on, lack of parental guidance has been blamed for being behind the increasing teenage pregnancy in Adjumani district and West Nile region. Leaders in the area attributed this to poverty, which they say is a stumbling block to the achievement of Vision 2040 and the commitments of the 1994 International Conference on Population and Development that sat in Cairo. Details follow.
We found this 16-year-old girl at Mungula Health Center 4 in Adjumani district, where she had just given birth to a baby boy. The young lady, who was a senior 1 student at Mungula Secondary School in Adjumani district, says her education was cut short after she conceived to a man that used to buy her sanitary pads, something she says her parents could not afford. Another young girl aged 17 years had also just given birth at the same facility. This particular one says her parents advised her to marry the time she experienced periods. Due to the pressure, she escaped from her parents' home in Adjumani town and went to live with her auntie in Mungula village. She was put in a vocational school where she met a colleague that made her pregnant.
This is a sub-county which by statistics has the greatest, is leading in teenage pregnancy. Monthly we get about 20 of them, teenage pregnancy. It could be more than that, but the challenge is they don't tell us the real age. So you may see a girl of 15 or 16, but she'll tell you she's 18 or 19, which will not count. Otherwise, if we could really get the real age of them, it will be more than that.
Miss Odaru Judith, a nursing officer and midwife at Mungula Health Center 4, says most of these girls deliver by cesarean section.
Cesarean section here is obstructed labor, and if we take the statistics, most of them are young girls underage.
Judith puts the blame to lack of parental guidance and poverty among families.
People do not know the importance of education, sending girls to education. They are still following their cultural beliefs of those days, where they feel girls are wealth. They don't bother to give guidance to these young girls. Where a girl goes to school up to P3 and then she comes home. So she takes the decision of getting married instead of continuing. And then also poverty is one. These parents leave these girls because they know even if they continue with the education, they may not afford to pay them in school, so they just abandon them to marry.
Teenage pregnancy has dire consequences for the girl child, as it contributes heavily to maternal mortality and school dropout. A 2017 Ministry of Education and Sports study on the linkage between teenage pregnancy and school dropout in Uganda shows that up to 22.7% of the girls dropped out of school due to pregnancy-related reasons.
They have experienced their first menstrual cycle and they don't have sanitary pads. The parents cannot afford sanitary pads. And you will be sure that this person will not take long before they get married. So it's unfortunate that this is happening, but we commit as leaders to continue to empower our people economically because we have the responsibility to plan for them.
Demographic reports indicate that 1 out of every 4 teenage girls between the age of 15 and 19 has already given birth or is already pregnant with their first child.
I associate with what they are going through. But for me, there are two things we have to differentiate. Sex and pregnancy. The process is clear. You'll first have sex before you become pregnant. So how much have we done to avert these people to have unwanted sex? Parents are very key, very instrumental to ensure that the children are brought up in a moral way and they are protected until they reach an age where they can really protect themselves.
This year's national commemoration for World Population Day was on the theme Renewing the Promise, empowering Uganda's youth to drive socio-economic transformation, well aligned with the global theme, 25 years of the International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD, accelerating the promise. We sought views of the young people on their take to end teenage pregnancies in Uganda.
I'm still young and you're forcing me to go for marriage. I'll straightly go to the police to report you because it is your right to support me in education and I should study, grow up and become a responsible person.
But I try to defend a certain girl who's around 15 years. That is automatic life in the prison. That is it, but I'm advising them to stop that kid, but because it is bad. And the parents also to not force their children to get married, the men also.
And other parents are too rude to their children. Because if you're too rude to your children, you will not even get an opportunity of handle your child or your daughter.
Knowledge have to be impacted to such girls, especially the young girls. Because somebody might just grow from the childhood and having no information about what they should be doing and actually how to stay as girls actually.
To the National Population Council, the 47.9% of the population in Uganda being below 15 years means a high dependency ratio, over 103 dependents per 100 working adults, indicating a heavy burden on the economically productive population, as well as influencing government's efforts to provide adequate and quality social services.
Basic education. Education empowers. Education provides information. And if we can keep all the boys and all the girls in school up to the end of USE, I think we'll have done that as an intervention, really scores a lot of marks. The only thing, and our colleagues, the members of parliament, maybe can say something about this, is we need something, whether a law or regulations or what, to compel parents to make sure that they take the children to school. And if they don't take them, there should be punitive measures, because government has tried its best. The best they can do is make sure that the facilities are there, and then the parents should be compelled to take them to school.
25 years ago, in 1994, 179 countries, including Uganda, adopted a landmark program of action on universal access to sexual and reproductive health and rights during the International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD, held in Cairo, Egypt. In Uganda, for example, over the past 25 years, preventable maternal deaths have declined by 24% over the last 5 years, from 438 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2011 to 336 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2016. However, whereas the situation of women and girls in Uganda is getting much better in the last 25 years, the dream of ICPD has also remained a distant dream for many women and girls that are left behind, still waiting for the promise of Cairo to be fulfilled. In regions like West Nile, maternal mortality ratio stands at over 898 deaths per 100,000 live births, compared to national figures of 336 deaths per 100,000 live births, which is also still high.
It is very important for us to remind ourselves, and I say ourselves because it is the world community and the governments of the world, that in 1994 decided, committed and promised that women's rights are at the center, or should be at the center of development. So, the right not to die because you're pregnant or because you want to give birth, and the right to be free from violence. Let me be very clear. These are fundamental human rights. And unless and until these rights for women are guaranteed, poverty reduction is slower and development is slower.
At least 125 Uganda billion shillings has been earmarked by the Netherlands to step up support towards improving the sexual and reproductive health and rights of Ugandan women and men in the next 4 years, with the first concrete project targeting the West Nile. Bernard Yiga, UBC.